home. Like home?
Like not like that. I stayed there. Alone. Alone.
Till Prashadam time, yeah. Yeah? Yeah, till 1:45 actually. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Alright. So I want to welcome everybody to the beginners the ISKCON beginners class. My name is Bhakta Mike. It's always good to introduce yourself. Your name is Connie Longadeng Peter. Yes, all right. So it's said that where there is 2 or 3 people talking about Krishna or God, he is present. You know. Okay. So I want us to start with a prayer. And normally, before we begin any shastras or any prayers, I'm pretty sure you've heard some of the prayers that are normally said. So this is usually in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. So well, I kind of know them, but not completely. I'm still learning as well, but I will say it. All right, so we'll start. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajahatam Sahagana Raghunathantam Vitam Tan Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radhana Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visa Kanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Vrindavaneshwareshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The mantra is actually there, you can read it if you don't know it, yeah? Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Yes, Jai. So there's normally also another prayer we say to Prabhupada, our spiritual master, and it goes like this. Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravari Pracharine Nivishesha Shunavadi Pastatade Satarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Yeah, so I'll give you guys to, of course this is Sanskrit. Like the first prayer that I said, the Om Jnana Timirandasya, it says, I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. So this prayer is just making that acknowledgement. you know. And if you notice in ISKCON culture, there's a lot of respect. We give respect to each other, like even the way we deal with Mataji's or like in our engagement, there's a lot of respect. So we begin by offering our obeisances to our spiritual master, because for one, being in the material world, we have forgetfulness, and without their mercy, we won't be able to understand or remember how to live in this material world, because this material world is full of suffering, and there's a lot of things we encounter, and sometimes you don't even know why you're encountering them, you know. And then there's the other one, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri. So this one goes like this: I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, and to the feet of all Vaishnavas, all of us. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami, along with the elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunatha Dasa and Raghunatha Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. When you go to the altar, you notice in the middle there is normally two deities who are lifting their hands, and you normally hear Gauranga Nityananda. Those are the two. So Krishna always comes to relish his pastimes with his brother Lord Rama or Ram. That's why you'll always hear, even in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, as we are seeing, Hare Krishna, and then there is Rama. Yeah. So Rama and Krishna are brothers, you know. And then Hari is normally Radharani, because Radharani manifests herself as the energy, the loving aspect of Krishna. And then there is the other one, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate. Oh my dear Krishna. Actually, when you're going to offer your obeisances at the altar, when you offer your obeisances, I'll explain to you why we offer obeisances. So we're normally saying to Krishna, oh my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So obeisances in this case, when we begin to imagine surrender, if I came and I lay in front of you here, like you'd even feel a little bit awkward, like, yo, what are you doing? It's awkward. But you can imagine that is the same feeling that Krishna has. Like, oh, wow, like you've accepted to be so low as the grass. And that is the approach that we have as Vaishnavas, because everything here works even by mercy of Krishna. Like you see, even for me to be here, I'm not being given a check. No one is paying me to come here, but in my heart, I know that because I love Krishna so much, and I love serving Krishna, the different things that I've gotten and I've gotten an opportunity to do, it just brings me closer. You know, imagine if you're approaching someone from their feet. You'll have that compassion to that person, because it shows their lowest humility. Like literally, I'm pretty sure you can imagine it in your head, you know. Of course, to some extent, it may feel awkward when you go there and you're not sure whether to do it. But if indeed in your heart you're a humble person, it will just come automatically, you know. So that's why we have that practice of offering obeisances. Even when we meet, you find that people don't hug or touch each other that much. We normally put our hands together and we offer our obeisances. That's our respect, a shallow bow to each other, because what that means is that I respect you, I love you, you know. It's a gesture, you know. Yeah. So, has that answered your question?
Yes, it has.
All right. Now, and then there is the other prayer. Tapta Kanchaga Orangi. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. So what we've come to realize is that Krishna has so many names. When we even think about, before we came to this movement, we've encountered in our religious studies that God in other cultures, like Mwenenyaga, like maybe what do you call God in, like where you're, yeah, Jehovah, Yeshua, like there are many other names that God has, So, like I said, all of these are just offering respects, and you'll also find even amongst Vaishnavas, like now the next prayer, which is Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like the desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. All of us are fallen souls. When you begin to think about the number of things that you've done, that you've called out yourself, and you're like, damn, why did I do that? You did something wrong. Like even just a day ago, on a daily basis, we've kind of fallen short because of our human nature, and being fallen, the reason we are here in this material world is because we are not yet pure in the heart. So, but how do we claim back our position? Because our original position was in the spirit world, where all Vaishnavas, other pure souls, they engage in ecstasy, exchanging love and serving one another. But you can imagine, for you to be in that environment, you cannot have lust, you cannot have anger in your heart, you cannot have greed, because that wouldn't be a very conducive environment, you see. And that is what made us fall in this material world. Actually, having this material body is a sickness. It's the first sign that being a fallen soul, your soul is trapped in the very body that you have. Number one, you do not even have control of the day you die unless you decide to commit suicide, which in any case, even when you're trying to commit suicide, your body will likely prevent you from doing that, And then the other thing is that when you really think about the fact that you have the opportunity to be a human being, you could have been anything. You could have been a dog, you could have been a pig, yeah? What else would it be? A tree? That's crazy, yeah? Can you imagine being a tree? But you know what's the funny thing? Each one of us has actually transmigrated through all kinds of species. You might see a pig and think, ha, pig. Well, once upon a time, you might have been a pig. And Prabhupada used to say actually that when you find that you can be able to bark or meow like a cat, that is enough proof that yes. The fact that you can meow like a cat or bark like a dog means that once upon a time you might have had. So today actually this specific class, it was organized by Govinda Prem Prabhu. He's the one who engaged me because me, I love books. When you come home, you just find I'm always in a book. So it's like, hey Prabhu, there's someone who's not giving class. Would you kindly give class? And at first I was very hesitant because I didn't feel like I was qualified. I didn't feel like I can really do it because I feel like I'm a very fallen soul. I'm so fallen. What will I have to give? But in any case, by the mercies of Krishna, because we are not the doer, we think we are the ones planning things. Even today you might have thought, it was me who planned to be here, but it's actually Krishna who organized for you to be here. Because as we learn in the Bhagavad Gita, we learn that he's in our heart. Yeah? All right. So, today we were actually going to read about the spiritual master. And in the book, the journey of self-discovery, if you don't have the book, kindly grab a copy. There's a box there. You can just grab one book there, and it's okay. He'll give you the book. You can just share to guys. Give guys the book, kindly. Yeah. So going back to the nature of Vaishnavas, as you notice, Vaishnavas are very kind people, they're very generous people. That is the culture that we have here. So even when you come to the temple, normally I think most people, they're thinking of prasad time. They're always timing prasad, you know. But think about it. Somebody somewhere, by Krishna's mercy, has been able to extend that opportunity for you to enjoy prasad, you know. When we are here together, we feel like we are at home. You know, when you go back home, your mom is like, "Hey, my son, have you eaten?" Oh, she'll serve you some food, or she'll tell you to go and serve food, right?
Some. What's a lot of it?
Yeah, okay, let's say some. But typically, by nature, even when you go to meet someone else's mom, they'll most likely offer you tea or bread or some food, right? So what does that tell you? By nature, we all have that loving connection that we all share, you know. Only that despite like now the challenges that we are facing, the fact that the world is becoming more complex, that people are becoming more materialistic, you know, that and that there are different modes of nature, that people are not able to be that generous, right? All right. So, Peter, you were there last class, the last class. Can you remind us what we talked about, something that you remember that we talked about in that class, so that we can bring other people to speed? And then you'll pass the mic all the way to... Remind me your name, Prabhu? You're also Peter? Ah, okay. You know, Peter is actually in the Bible, you know? Yeah. Pass there. Yeah, share with us something that you remember from the class.
The last time I was here, it was basically the introduction, but we were just asking questions and you were just telling us about how you see the holy book that you should not touch down, the etiquette in the temple, things
Yeah.
you should do and you should not do in the temple.
Yeah.
Like the mixing between males and females, and also you talked about the big bag, how it's read,
Yes.
how it's done,
Yes.
why you hide it,
Yes.
of so many reasons.
Yeah.
Also the scarf you're wearing in your neck.
Yes, the chada.
The holy,
Yes.
the holy cloth. Also the reason we remove our shoes after the temple.
Yes.
Yeah, and so many things. Those are things I can remember.
Nice. Nice. Pass to Peter at the back there to tell us something. No, it's okay. It's just 1-2 words. We want to hear from you. Yeah, say something. Just say something. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I don't remember.
Yeah. What sticks to you? What would you like to say? Like at least you've gotten, because I've seen you in this class a bit more times. What has stuck? What can you say you've learned? Yeah, one thing.
Afraid of this.
Okay, no problem. We can pass to Prabhu there. He has something to say.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Julius.
Yes, Julius. Yeah.
Okay. Kwangu mimi nasema itakuwaje mtu ataenda ama wakati anakufa ndio atarudi kuwa kitu kingine, itakuwa mti, itakuwa ng'ombe ama itakuwa mbuzi kama hiyo.
Okay.
Ni wakati gani mtu atakuwa, wakati atakuwa amekufa spirit zake ama itakuwaje?
Okay. Pass to the Prabhu there. Yeah, tell us a realization that has stuck out for you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Mark, and
Yes. Max.
what I learned is that there are 4 regulative principles that no meat-eating, no gambling,
Yes.
no intoxication,
Yes.
and no illicit sex.
Ah, nice. All right. Okay. So, I'm just trying to make this class more interesting because, the other class people, you go to class and then it is just tutui. Unajipata you're there, you're just dancing, like you're like a DJ, We don't want DJs in class. All right, so I'll answer your question, tajibu swali lako. So today I want us to go to page 122. And I'll need your help to read, because one of the very important processes of, I would say, learning Vedic knowledge is by reading. We feed the body, so we need to feed the mind and the soul. So, and the only way is by hearing. We normally have the 9 processes of devotional service. Do you know them? Yeah?
Hearing. Taking pressure. Giving charity. Taking charity.
Nice. Straight. So normally there are 9 devotional processes: hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, offering obeisances to the lotus feet of the Lord, or serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Because, so by lotus, if you've noticed, even the ISKCON logo has a lotus flower. Yeah? So how many here know what a lotus is? Yeah, what's a lotus?
Flower.
It's a flower. Where is it located?
Water.
In water. And normally what's so interesting about the lotus? It's always on top of the water. Yeah? So similarly, Krishna, his feet are always like a lotus flower. He exists, but he's not contaminated by this material nature. Unlike us, unlike the spiritual master, the reason he's in that position, because after all, everywhere we are is a position. Where you are right now, you're in a position. You're seated there, you're receiving. I am here, giving. You can imagine, the roles can change, right? But so how do you get to that position where you're also like the lotus? Yeah? That is why we approach the spiritual master with his mercy. We are like, even me when I go there, I see Prabhupada, I'm like, Jai Prabhupada, I am so grateful to be in your presence. I'm so grateful because without Prabhupada, we would not have this ISKCON vehicle that on a Sunday right now, probably I'd have gone to a party yesterday, I'd have been drunk somewhere, party DJ, yo, but we are here talking about very important things, right? So it's by his mercy. And when we come to the temple, I want you to imagine that if you're living at home, you might have a picture of your mom on the wall, yeah? When you see that picture, you know that you've had a personal relationship with your mom, right? When I come, I'll be like, oh, who's that? You'll tell me, oh, that's mom, And for you, when I say mom, she comes to your mind, automatic. You can see her in your mind, yes? So similarly, when we come here, the first principle of Krishna consciousness is that everything is personal. There's nothing impersonal about our relationships. Even seeing Krishna, we get to see Krishna personally. He's there with Radharani, with his flute, And that's why we start by giving respectful obeisances, even to each other. Okay, so, Deng, I like your voice, by the way. You can read for us. Yeah, let me give you this microphone. Do us the honors. Yeah, page 122. Just read from the top. We'll just go together. We'll read.
Show battle spiritualists
Exposed. Yes.
Show bottle spiritualists exposed.
Yes. Show bottle.
Show bottle spiritualists exposed. All right.
Yeah.
Los Angeles, December 30th, 1968. A CBS television news reporter asked for Srila Prabhupada's comments on the many newly arisen gurus of the late 60s who were promising, among other things, power, influence, stress control, and salvation. This no-holds-barred interview exposes many current religious philosophies and practices. Srila Prabhupada declares, the man who says he's God, he's a rascal, number one. The journalist asked Srila Prabhupada, I think an awful lot of our readers and an awful lot of people in the United States are terribly confused with the many people who claim to be gurus and gods and who pop up in this country, one after the other, and they say that. Srila Prabhupada said, I can declare that they are all nonsense. Journalist, I wonder if you could elaborate on that a little bit. Srila Prabhupada.
Would you go back to work?
Oh, you know.
If we can do journalist, we can do
Okay, it's a good idea. Actually, you can sit there and you can exchange. You can, you read, you become Prabhupada. That will be more interesting. Yes.
as the journalist.
Yeah. So you just talk. You won't have to say Prabhupada. You just read as a journalist. Yeah. So all of you guys, we are together. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
I think an awful lot of our readers and an awful lot of people in the United States are terribly confused with the many people who claim to be gurus and gods and who pop up in this country one after the other. And they say that.
I can declare that they are all nonsense.
I wonder if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
I can say, furthermore, they are all rascals.
For example, the famous one who sells meditation mantras.
He's rascal number one. I say it publicly.
Could you explain, give me a little background on that and why? Because our readers.
From his behavior, I can understand he is rascal number one. I do not want to know about him, but what he has done makes it obvious. But the wonderful thing is that people in the Western countries are supposed to be advanced. To be so advanced, how are they be fooled by these rascals?
Well, I think that people are looking for something and he comes along.
Yes, but they want something very cheap. That is their fault. Now, for our disciples, we don't give anything cheap. Our first condition is character, moral character. You see, unless one is strictly following moral principle, we do not initiate him. We don't allow him in this institution. And this so-called guru has been telling people, just do whatever you like. You simply pay me $35 and I'll give you a mantra. You see? So people want to be cheated. And so many cheaters come. People do not wish to undergo any discipline. They have got money, so they think we shall pay and immediately they get whatever they want.
Instant heaven.
Yes, that is their foolishness.
Let me ask you, I have my opinion, but let me ask you, why do you feel that the younger people today are turning more and more toward the Eastern-oriented religions?
Because your materialistic way of life no longer satisfies them. In America especially, you have got enough for enjoyment. You've got enough food, enough women, enough wine, enough houses, enough of everything. But you still have confusion and
Satisfaction.
Yeah, that one. More in your country than in India, which is said to be poverty-stricken. But you'll find in India that although they are poverty-stricken, they are continuing their old spiritual culture. So the people are not disturbed. This shows that material advancement alone cannot give one satisfaction. If they really want satisfaction, people must take to spiritual life. That will make them happy. All these people, they are in darkness. There is no hope. They do not know where they're going. They have no aim. But when you are spiritually situated, you know what you're doing and where you're going. Everything is clear.
In other words, you feel that the Western-oriented church, whether it be a synagogue or a church or whatever, has failed to present spiritual life. Would you say that their message is not relevant, or is it that they have failed to present their message properly?
Take the Bible. It was spoken long, long ago to primitive people who were living in the desert. These people were not very advanced. So at that time in the Old Testament, It is sufficient to say there is a God and God created the world. That is a fact. But now people are scientifically advanced and they want to know in detail how the creation has taken place. You see, unfortunately, that detailed scientific explanation is not there in the Bible, and the church can't give any more than that. Therefore, people are not satisfied. Simply officially going to the church and offering prayers that does not appeal to them. Besides that, the so-called religious leaders are not following even the basic religious principle. For instance, in the Old Testament, there are the Ten Commandments, and one commandment is, "Thou shalt not kill." But killing is very prominent in the Christian world. The religious leaders are sanctioning slaughterhouses, and they have manufactured a theory that animals have no soul. Give the dog a bad name and hang it. So when we ask, why are you committing these sinful acts of killing? The priests refuse to discuss the matter. Everyone is silent. That means they're deliberately disobeying the Ten Commandments. So where are the religious principles? Is it plainly stated? Isn't it? It is plainly stated, "Thou shalt not kill." Why are they killing? How do you answer?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Well, thou shalt not kill is obviously an ethic, and it is timeless and it is valid, but man is not really interested.
Yeah, that's right. They are not really interested in religion. It is simply show bottle. If you do not follow the regulative principles, then where is your religion?
I'm not arguing with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm in total agreement. It doesn't make any sense. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt worship no other gods before me. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Thou shalt not honor thy fathers and thy mother. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. Those are beautiful.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. But who is following this?
Very few.
So how can they say they're religious, and without religion, human society is animal society?
All right, but let me ask you this. How does your interpretation differ from the basic Judeo-Christian ethic of the Ten Commandments?
There is no difference. But as I have told you, none of them are strictly following the Ten Commandments. So I simply say, please follow God's commandments. That is my message.
In other words, you're asking them to obey those principles.
Yes, I don't say that Christians should become Hindu. I simply say, please obey your commandments. I'll make you a better Christian. That is my mission. I don't say God is not in your tradition. God is only here in ours. I don't say God is not in your tradition. God is only here in ours. I simply say obey God. I don't say you have to accept that God's name is Krishna and no other. No, I say please obey God. Please try to love God.
Let me put it in this way. If your mission and the mission of the Western Judeo-Christian ethic are the same, again, let me ask, why is it that the younger people or people in general are disenchanted and trying to go toward the Eastern-oriented religions? Why are they going toward the Eastern if both are the same?
Because Judaism and Christianity are not teaching them practically. I'm teaching them practically.
In other words, you're teaching them what you feel is a practical, everyday method for attaining this fulfillment of man's spirit.
Love of Godhead is being taught both in Bible and in the Bhagavad Gita. But today religionists are not actually teaching how to love God. I'm teaching people how to love God. That is the difference. Therefore, young people are attracted.
Nice. Guys, clap for them. Didn't you feel Prabhupada's spirit like the journalist and Prabhupada were talking? Yeah, so what points have stood out for you there as far as like when we begin to think about Prabhupada has given it a very interesting name, the show bottle spiritualists. Show bottle, what's a show bottle?
A bottle for show.
A bottle for show, yeah?
A display.
A display, you know? That's a good one. Yeah? So, now I want you guys to teach me what you've gotten from this. At least 1 or 2 points. You can tell me.
Well, I think what stood out for me was you do not have to call, well, God Krishna or call him whatever name. You can call him whatever name you want, but what stood out for me is just the love for God and doing it practically.
And Srila Prabhupada specifies that even in your religion, you have a God, there's God, and you don't have to call God Krishna, just respect God. And
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Faris. I'm grateful to be here once more. I was here, last time I was here was March 2020, but I'm thankful to Krishna to be back. What I have learned today is the pronunciation of this Shri I can't.
Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. He's answering the journalist who is conscious, and he's trying to explain his consciousness. He's telling him that they cannot allow anybody who is not, who does not have good morals, who does not follow the principles of Krishna, so they cannot allow him in this house. That is what I have learned from this reading.
Nice.
God is not designated to any religion, traditions, or anything. God is universal.
Anyone else have something to say? Pass the mic.
I have something else.
Yeah. So when it started, when the conversation started, it was because they were talking about gurus, the fake gurus that were coming before. So what he was trying to say is people are suffering because of the lack of knowledge. You're buying something and still you're not getting happiness at the end of it all. By following the commandments and chanting or loving God, just praying, you get to not to pay for much, to get out of the material world, like instead of buying mantras.
Nice. Clap for yourself, guys. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
That mantra is very special. And I think even in my position to sit here and tell you guys about that mantra is when I look at myself in the mirror every day, I'm like, sometimes I can't believe where I've come from and where I am, So Prabhupada has given us some insight on, for example, that in America they have everything. I believe then you can tell us for sure there's Ferraris, there's opulence, there's everything for our sense enjoyment, but still people are not happy, which is a fallacy. And then there are these gurus who've come and of course I believe even when you go to YouTube or whatever, like you'll find people who try and sell you courses. There's always someone selling a course. Am I wrong? Yeah. So those are the show bottle. Like, hey guys, guess what, man? I found a way that, you follow my process, you're going to be rich, you're going to be happy, you're going to, all you need to do is sign up with the link below. Click the link, at the bottom, there's always $47, $27. Or if you go even to a yoga class, there's always someone who's telling you, hey, if you chant this mantra, like I think even there's one time I listened to 50 Cent, and he was saying that he has this something mantra that he bought, but he wakes up and chants every day. Of course, there's some change I can see, but it does come to show that yes, the science is there, but in this movement, you don't have to pay anyone for a mantra. All you need to do is just accept the process. That is literally the only thing you pay. Even prashad, you're not being charged even a dime. You know? So, the other thing that has interested me is, I guess now to go back and answer your question. You asked about how is it that tunakuja, we come and we get different bodies, you see? So, I want you to imagine playing dice. How many here have played dice? All of us have played dice, eh? Dice, a die normally has, it's a cube. It has, say, 1 or 2, 3 on different sides of the cube. It has a different number, yeah? So when you have 2 die and you shake them and you throw them, right? You're not likely to get the same number when you do it every time, right? So if I roll my die, I throw it, I might get 6, I might get 12, I might get 2, I might get 1, right? So similarly, you can imagine that between now and the day that you die, because all of us, whether you like it or not, this material body is just the car rent too. You're paying rent. One day you will be kicked out, and when you're kicked out, you have to accept another body. You see? But now that really depends on your consciousness. Yeah. Now I'm going to show you guys something very interesting. And I want you to pass this book around so that you guys can see for yourself. Yeah. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, but the Prabhupada used to like art. I think Prabhupada was one of the most interesting artists because he managed to commission different artists to have these pictures drawn, like very good artists. When you go on YouTube, you can find a documentary where he's showing how they created, you know, because this book, the Bhagavad Gita was translated, yeah? So, like now here we are seeing, but in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 8, Purport says, at the time of death, the consciousness created by the living being carries him to the next body. Has that registered? So, if you're behaving like a pig, what do you get? A pig body. If you're behaving like a cat, what do you get? Hare Krishna. Yes.
What do you mean when you say if you behave like a cat? Is it... Well, just for clarity.
Yes.
Well, I get what this is saying.
Yes.
What is saying.
Yes.
When if you're the way you live your life.
Yes.
Day by day.
Yes.
The way you live your life day by day. If you live your life in a good way, you know, if your thoughts are always like on God, you know, the last minutes where you're going to draw your last breath, you know, you obviously will think about God, right? And then that makes you what? Pious. And what if you're not thinking about God? You're thinking about you're thinking about your girlfriend.
Very good question. So ideally that's what it is, because the mind, number one, the way Krishna developed this body, or every living entity, he developed it with a level of consciousness, yeah? And right now, if I tell you to see a red apple, you can see it in your mind. Am I right? I haven't taken anything and put it in your mind. It is there. Now I want you to imagine a red apple, a car, and a woman who is jumping. I believe all of us can see those three images in our mind. That's how powerful the mind is. Yeah? And because we cannot control the pain and the fear that you experience at the point of death, Because right now you're breathing, you're fine. I believe all of us have had a circumstance where we've had maybe a slight near-death experience. Maybe you've been very sick, like you are so sick, and for that brief moment, you're not really sure whether you'll live, right? I'm very sure at that time you're not thinking about, But anyway, I've read somewhere in the Shastras that says that when someone is dying, actually, everything that you have been doing is normally replayed in your mind. Yeah? Because this mind that we have, the brain that we have, is a piece of equipment. It's a memory bank. Like the way you have a flash disk, you store data, right? So you have the conscious mind and you have the unconscious mind. Yeah? And that is the reason why we use repetition. We have the Japamala beads here. We chant. So you're chanting a minimum number of rounds, a certain number of rounds, so that you can program your subconscious mind. I'm very sure all of us have a time that we normally go to bed. Yeah, maybe you like to scroll your TikTok before you sleep, and whether or not you're like, today I'll sleep at 9. Guess what? If you've been sleeping at 11, you will sleep at 11. And if you normally wake up at 6, you wake up at 6. Even if you want to wake up at 5, unless you really force yourself, you put your alarm, or you have something that really needs you to wake up at 5. Like, let's say maybe you have to go to town, or maybe you have to move from, maybe you've gone to sleep over at someone's place. You normally have to wake up early and go, right? But now imagine that is the nature of the mind. So Prabhupada, our spiritual master, has developed these different processes. Everything from even eating, so that we can condition our subconscious mind. So number one, if you look at something like prasad, the prasad that we normally have, the first thing is, it's normally offered to Krishna first. So before you receive it, it has already been cleared of the karma. Yeah? You may not see the benefit directly, but because none of you here has ever seen your brain, tell me if you've ever seen your brain. Tell me if you've ever seen your heart, your intestine, your stomach, your liver. Say aye. So similarly, when we think about even prasad, when it gets into your body, it is no longer the state that it was, because it has been spiritualized. Krishna is a supreme being, yeah? And because he's the one who created us, you see, it is first developing in that nature that we are conscious. That's why we call it Krishna consciousness. You're conscious that in everything, even the air that we breathe, all of us are breathing the same air. It's not that you're breathing a separate air from Deng or from Peter. All of us are simultaneously breathing, aren't we? Yeah? So what does that tell you? That once you're aware of Krishna and what he is doing, even by us being here in this material world, in whatever body that you have, we cannot exchange bodies. No matter how people try, they fall in love. You're my soulmate. We are together. We will never break apart. Guess what? Death will separate you. Yeah? That is the unfortunate reality. Yeah? So, now the other reason as to answer now your question, if you're thinking about your girlfriend, you will now likely be reincarnated as a woman, because that was the last thing in your mind before you left the body. Because we learn in the Shastras that we have different bodies, yeah? We have the gross material body. I believe we've talked about that in the previous classes. We have the gross material body. We have the subtle body, which is made of? Are you aware? Yeah, so we have the soul, and then we have the subtle body, which is made of false ego, intelligence, and the mind. And then we have the gross body, which is our material body, which is made of, Peter? Do you remember? We have our senses, yeah. We have the materials or matter, which is earth, water, fire, ether. Yes. Have I left any? Air. Because in order for your body to work, you have to breathe in air. Sindio? You can imagine if this room was closed, or if we are in the Titanic and water is filling up and you can't breathe, what's going to happen? You're going to die. You see? So one other thing that we learn is that the soul is literally suspended in the heart chakra, yeah, by air. That is how we are able to exist in this body. We are interfacing on this physical. This body is like a phone. You know, right now if you have an Android and then it smashes here, you remove the SIM card. Think of the soul like a SIM card. Yeah? You put it in your iPhone. So you still be able to call Deng and tell him, hey Deng, there's Prashad. Yeah? So similarly, that's how the soul transmigrates. But who controls the transmigration process? Your karma. Because what happens is, the reason we are normally chanting, this, is because we attain a certain vibration. All of us know how it feels when you're sad. When you're sad, you don't even want to get out of bed. Right? But when you're happy, hey, you're jumping. Yeah, you want to fly, you want to run, you know. But when you're depressed, you're down, you know, you don't have energy. Yeah. So this process that we are following is for re-energizing our subtle body. It's for purifying our soul, because the soul is always vibrating like the colors of the rainbow. As we know, the rainbow has 7 colors, right? We have Richard of York gain battle in vain. We have violet. We have red. If you notice, let's think about it. When you look at clubs, most clubs are what color? Red and black. Yeah? Right? When you go to a farm, what is the color? Color of green, right? What else can we think of? When you go to a hospital, or blue, right? We can immediately tell that these people have different consciousness. When you go to see a doctor, why? Because that person cares about your health, right? Yeah? Yes? So, having this consciousness, Krishna consciousness, is about taking the time to pay attention to what you're doing every minute. Because the minute soul, the soul is so minute. We read in the Gita. Where is the Gita? Who has the Gita? Yeah. I want to read a verse for you in the Gita. That's going to be very interesting. I'm going to read about the minute soul. But the Gita has been written very nicely. You can literally go to the general index at the back, and we read about the soul. Let me see.
Are we still there?
Yeah?
I want you to explain.
Yeah.
Why do we call Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead after we
I'm saying, why do we call Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Basically, why not just God? Why Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why? Compared to Vishnu? Whatever, you just...
All right. I'm pretty sure all of us have seen these clothes called Supreme, and they're quite popular, you know. So whenever we say anything is supreme, it means there is nothing above it. Yeah, it's the top. And the reason we say Godhead is because there is only one head. All of us here, we only have one head. You don't have to. Okay, of course there are some people who have two heads, but still, you know. Yeah, but still. So that tells you that he is a supreme head. He's a supreme being. And the reason we say Godhead is because all of us are particles. We're just particles. It's like a vehicle, yeah? When you see a vehicle will have screws, right? If you separate the screw from the car, it's a shambles. But the moment you put the screw in the right place, the car is complete. So similarly, all of us, Krishna has created us to fit in specific points. But he is the supreme because it is by his design. Yes, Godhead. He's the head. Yes. So, who wants to read for me the Gita? Someone volunteer. All right. So we're going to read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 20. I'm going to read the Sanskrit. Najate mriyate vakada najate mriyate vakadachin nambut vabhavati bhavita vanabhuya ajaniya shasvato ya ampurano nahanyate hanyamane sarire. So read for us there. It's at the bottom there, chapter 20. Yeah, the translation.
Okay, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Yeah. Let me see in the purport also. You want to read the purport? A little bit of the purport? Yeah, it's huge. It's okay. Alright, I'm going to read the purport for you guys. Yeah. So as we've read, for the soul there is neither birth nor death. At any time has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. He undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called a steady or kutasika. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. I believe all of us, even when you are a child, you still don't feel very different. And even when you're an old man, you still don't feel very different. Even if people tell you that you're an old person, you find a kid, they are 10, they're saying, hey, Maria, you're so old. That time you're telling them maybe you're 25, and they're telling you, you're so old. Yeah? The irony. But when you look back, you can remember when you were 5 or 10 years old, the body never felt, it doesn't feel any different from the way you are now. Right? And so the Gita continues to say, the soul is not born, but because he takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. anything which has birth also has death. And because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, ever existing and primeval. That is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc., of the soul. The soul does not at any time become old, as the body does. The so-called old man therefore feels himself to be in the same spirit as his childhood or youth. The changes of the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree, nor anything material. The soul has no byproduct either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls, and owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. The body develops because of the soul's present, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the 6 changes of the body. In the Katha Upanishad, Book 1, chapter 2, verse 18, we also find a similar passage. Najayate mriyate va pisanshin nayam kutashina bhuvat kaschit ajanyat sasvato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same in the Bhagavad Gita, but here in the verse there is only one special word, vipashchit, which means learned or with knowledge. So the reason why we say supreme is because Krishna knows everything. He knows the past, he knows the present, and he knows the future. Who here knows the future? Who here knows how they'll be 2025? You don't even know 10 minutes from now. There might be a comet that can come and smash us into a pancake. Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna? Krishna Krishna? Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Are you together? Right. So, the soul is full of knowledge or full always with consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is a symptom of the soul. We can tell the difference between this chair and a living entity, even a bacteria. So, in the Gita, we actually learn the size of the soul. We learn that the soul is 1/10,000th, the tip of a hair. Can you imagine a tip? You pluck a piece of hair. The tip, divide that tip by 1/10,000. That is the size of the soul. Imagine, that is literally what is animating your body. Even if you have muscles, you're huge, you're whatever size you are. Yeah? That is how small the soul is in every single living entity. Even a bacteria, the one that you look in a microscope and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, the amoeba is there moving. You know, like the amoeba boys in Powerpuff Girls, you know. Yeah? Alright. And Prabhupada continues to tell us in the purport. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart, where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds of some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there. And we are convinced that it is there for daytime. Right now, we are not touching the sun, we are not seeing the sun, but we can tell it is daytime, even if there are clouds. True or false? As soon as there is a little light in the sky, early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the what? It is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand that the presence of the soul, the consciousness of the soul, is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme consciousness is all knowledge. Hare Krishna. So what have we learned about Krishna being the Supreme? He is all knowledge. Sachit Ananda. So by taking this process of Krishna consciousness, we are uncovering the process of becoming Sachit Ananda, becoming like Krishna, becoming all-knowing. That is where we are trying to get to. That is why we read. That is why we follow the spiritual processes, because there is no diminution in the spiritual process. Any spiritual progress that you make, even 1%, is permanent. Yeah? Like a tree. We can tell the difference between a mustard seed and a mustard tree. True or false? We cannot return the mustard tree back into the mustard seed. Similarly, once we develop our spiritual nature, our spiritual knowledge, we become like Krishna. We get his knowledge because he is the one, after all, who designed this existence that we have. We gain knowledge. We want to gain the supreme knowledge. I want you guys to imagine. Can any of you here design an ant? Show me by your hands who here can create an ant. But me, I can create an ant. I know how to make an ant. I won't tell you, it is my secret. Yeah? Ant-Man, eh? Alright, let's continue. So, this consciousness of the soul is, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme Consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he obtains education and enlightenment from the superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. There are two kinds of souls, namely a minute particle soul, Anu Atma, and the super soul, Vibhu Atma. This is also confirmed in the Kada Upanishad in this way. But then in my Sanskrit kind of sucks, but Najaribu. Anur Aryan Mahato Mahiyan Atmasya Janto Nihito Guhaya Tam Akuta Pasya Ati Vita Soko Daatu Prashadan Mahima Anam Atma Anam Datu Prashadan Mahimanam. Both the super soul, Paramatma, and the atomic soul, Jivatma. So Paramatma and Jivatma are situated on the same tree of the body within the same heart of the living being. And only one who has become free from all material desires as well as lamentations can by the grace of the Supreme understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul. Also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters, and Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. And so we learn that Krishna is the Guru. The Guru who we have as the spiritual master is none different from Krishna. I will give you an example. When you meet a policeman, you know very well that is the government. You do not play with the government. Yeah, you cannot go there and do a fly kick on the policeman there, because you get arrested. Similarly, we know that the Guru or the spiritual master is none different from Krishna, because he has received that transcendental knowledge. He is in a place where he has. We can obviously tell the difference between a rich man and a poor man. A rich man's got some money and a poor man got no money. True or false? Similarly, the spiritual master has this knowledge which we are offering our respectful obeisances to our spiritual master, because it's through his spiritual nature that he removes that forgetfulness that we have. so that we can even understand that spiritual knowledge which is in this book. I believe for most of us, when we first encountered this book, or when we encountered Hare Krishna, we are like, that is Indian, these are those Indian things. We have not had that knowledge, that awareness. But somehow or another, by the association of the devotees and the Vaishnavas that we have here, somehow or another we started to understand, like, oh my, what is prashad, what is chanting, why are people doing this, why are they doing that? Yes? And that is the process. We began this class by talking about why we offer obeisances. Yes? Whenever we approach people with a humble spirit, they oftentimes help us. Yes? When you're poor and you don't have some money, you call your friend like, yo bro, hey Maze, I'm going through something, so you can help me with 200 shillings. Oftentimes, this person will give you that 200 shillings. Yes? So similarly, when you approach the spiritual master, he will be able to afford you some mercies. And that is why we offer obeisances. Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna? Alright, so I want us to finish this class by chanting the Maha Mantra so that we can go and honor Prashad. Yes? Can you join me together? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravari Pacharine Nivishesha Shunavadi Pasata Desatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Jai Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Alright. Then honor Prashad. I don't have an assistant, maybe you can be my assistant.